Hi. Hello. Hi. Good evening for you as well.
Yes, good evening. No, good morning. It's 10 o'clock.
For sure.
9
Right.
o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning.
What a surprise. And what an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
How did you hear of it?
Dr. Jaman told me.
I see. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining.
Nobody is here yet.
Well, Annika is here. We usually start around 10 past.
Mhm.
So in Dhaka time, it's 7.
Yeah.
Hi, Annika. Hi, Amari.
Hey, Kat, we're both here. We're watching
Nice.
Stranger Things and listening in.
Well, it's such a surprise to me, but Purabi Basu is one of the authors we're reading today, and she's here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I was hearing you speak to her. So nice for you to have joined us. It's an honor.
Oh, it's pleasure for me also.
Huh.
Wonderful. I really look forward to it. This is my daughter, Amari. She
Hello.
read here last week.
Last week, a few weeks
Say
ago.
hi. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself. There's noise in the background.
Okay, sure.
Thank you both for coming. Amari, good to have you back. Amari is our youngest sister.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Purabi, where are you?
I am in Florida,
Oh, right.
Port St. Lucie. It's near West Palm Beach.
Hi, Shoma.
Okay. We used to be in Denver, Colorado. We moved to Florida because of the weather. It's very cold in Denver.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm in North Carolina right now, and I love the weather here, but I would not be able to stand the winter.
North Carolina, where
And Asheville.
it's a beautiful place.
Yes, it's beautiful.
We
It's a
drove
beautiful.
around.
So you emigrated quite a long time ago. I was just reading.
As a student here, I was a student, graduate student. So my 2/3 of my life was here.
And do you go back to Bangladesh?
Yeah, I actually go every year during the Boimela, but
Uh,
last 2 years I couldn't go. So this is a long break. Because of COVID, we did not travel. But this year we will be going in few months.
well, I will be back in Dhaka also around that time, and I would love to meet you in person.
Sure. So when are you going to come? Do you know?
So I'm based in Dhaka. Basically, I work for Her Story Foundation. Hi, Nasrinapa. So we collect and create and distribute stories about women. We have 2 children's books about female histories of women of Bangladesh,
Oh,
starting from Rokeya Shakawat, actually starting from Kona and all the way up to modern day women
starting
like,
from Kona. Okay, I wrote
yeah,
a book on
starting.
Kona.
Sorry.
I wrote a book on Kona.
Oh, really? What is it
Yeah,
called?
it's uh, let me see. It's called কিংবদন্তি খনা ও খনার বচন. You can get it from Anna Prakash, the big publication
Yeah.
house, Anna Prakash.
Yeah.
There you can get. This book became very popular. It sold like anything, it's 7, 8 editions they made. Because what happened is I collected the Khonar Bachon from various sources and put them together. So in my book, there are so many Khonar Bachon that you would not get it in any other individual book.
How did you find them?
I just collected, I just compiled them, from various sources.
Because there aren't a lot of written sources.
No, written sources, actually what happened is they have changed, modified or with
Yeah.
time, but the essence, the message is there.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes one bachon you will find like 5 versions. So I
Right.
didn't take that. I took one version or one. So those, although there are so many I put together, I tried not to repeat it, because the language changed from book to book. Because
Yes.
that was not, Khona's original language. It cannot be. So
Mm-hmm.
long time ago, the Bengali was different there.
Of course. But you think she was a real
I
person, or
don't think so. My assessment is, after reading and after doing whatever little research I could, and in a book also I wrote finally that she is a composite figure of all the voices of that time. So it was not a single individual. And most likely, a single individual Khona never existed. That's my feeling. So it's a combination of the
yeah?
voices.
And do you think the story of her tongue being cut, do you think that's also a
Symbolic.
different story that became?
Yes, yes, I think so. But at that time, of course, cutting the tongue means just killing the writer, because they used to do everything in the verbally. They would not write it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything was going from mouth to mouth. So if you cut the tongue, that means it's gone. She is never going to speak again and cannot make any poem. So that is all right, but I have a feeling it is all symbolic,
Mm-hmm.
and Khona is the voice of the woman at that time. Not only women, the common people, rather, voice against the king and
Mm-hmm.
The size is perfect and it tastes awesome. This portion and the recipe they made, it's perfect. আমি আগে অনেক ওয়াফেল খেলাম বাট এটা মানে ডিফারেন্ট লাইক অনেক বেস্ট ছিল।
Oh, sorry. Nasrina, I'm gonna mute you. Um, so the other thing I wanted to ask about Kona is what your favorite bachon is.
oh, it's hard to say. So many I have,
Right.
but she has some scientific, very accurate bachans, but she has quite a few superstitious bachon also. Like like you shouldn't go to west on certain days, like on Wednesdays. You shouldn't go to east on Monday. Those are those I find very different from her bachans on agriculture or weather. So I have quite a few. I cannot just name one.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Mm.
Amari, who's 10. Amari, do you know who Kona is? Do you know any Kona bachon?
Yeah, I know who Khan is.
Oh, because you
Sorry?
do you know any of her rhymes?
No. I just read about her in her stories book.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Great. Yeah, well, when I get a
Her
copy.
every version is not scientific. Like she said that ফল খেয়ে জল খাও মরণ বলে আয় আয় জল খায় ফল খেয়ে জল খায় মরণ বলে আয় আয়. That means after you eat a fruit, if you drink water, you are going to die. So which is totally baseless, scientifically speaking. But she wrote few of them, but many of them are really good and they make sense. They are scientifically based.
Hmm. Yes, but I guess that makes sense if it's a composite of a lot of things, then
Right.
there will be inconsistencies. Hi, hi, Dr. Zaman.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Namira.
Hi. Hi, Amari. And Anika.
নিয়াজ আপা কেমন আছেন? কোথায়? Is she here?
She's here, but I think her microphone isn't connected. I think it's not working. So I see she's here, but maybe she needs to connect and reconnect. Namira, so we were lucky today to have an author with us. So
Oh.
Purabi Basu is
Wow.
the author of Radha Will Not Cook Today.
That's amazing. Wow. I hope I can do the story justice. That's super exciting.
Yeah. I was surprised myself. It's just such a lovely such a lovely reading. But okay, so I think since you're here and we have a good number of people as well, I can start with a small introduction to Sister Library, and then I'll introduce you, and then
Sure.
you can start the reading, and you can maybe start with Radha Will Not Cook Today.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna quickly grab some water, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
Yeah.
Shoma, are you able to hear us now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
We don't see you. Okay, now.
Hi,
There.
hello.
Hi, Shoma. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. How are you all?
Okay.
I like your background.
My kitchen?
Yes.
Is that your kitchen in Bangladesh?
No. I Googled Indian kitchen.
Uh-huh.
So welcome everybody to Reading in the Kitchen, to Sister Libraries. I don't know what number this is. I think it might be maybe the 25th reading, something like that. So we've been reading for 2 years in this format where we get together on Zoom and we read parts of stories or parts of books. And we only read women. And the way that Sister Library started is Aki Tami, who's based in Bombay. She started a pink shelf where she started collecting all of her own all of the books that she'd collected. She started displaying there, works by women, and she herself only reads women. So 6 years ago, she decided she's not going to read men anymore. And she started this collection, which she made publicly available. And she also started doing activities in the library to celebrate female ingenuity. So the Goethe Institute, who is Her Story Foundation's partner in running the sister library, right before COVID, they invited Aki to come to Dhaka for 4 days. And for 4 days, Aki brought 100 books in her suitcases. So she came to Dhaka with these 2 heavy suitcases and 100 books. And we made a pink shelf in the Goethe library, and she displayed them there. And we had a couple of circle readings where the way that circle readings work is that we take a text and everybody volunteers to read parts. And you can read for as long as you want, or you can not read if you don't want. And then we discuss and share. So Aki packed up her books at the end of the 4 days, and she left. But she left telling us that if we wanted, we could continue her sister library in our own way. So we have since been running these readings, and recently we started inviting elder sisters, so women who are active in different fields and who have interesting opinions and different viewpoints. We invite the elder sisters to take a text or to pick a text and share it from their point of view. This is in no way an academic reading. It's very personal, and we have about an hour and a half. We get through as much as we have energy for, and then the rest we can discuss either on the Facebook group or in emails. Yeah, so that's kind of the format. In the Zoom version, we do, by the way, have a physical space. We have a pink shelf that's now located in Pantapot in the Drick building on level 1. And there's a small collection of works by women. And what we're trying to do is also collect as many self-published or as many unique works by women in Bangladesh as possible. So do reach out if you're interested in a membership. It's quite useful. And if today you are here because you got a link from a friend, and you want to continue being a member of the Digital Sister Library, just leave your email in the chat and then I'll put you on our mailing list. So what will happen today is Namira Hossain, who's our elder sister, she'll start the reading off, and I'll share the text on screen. And then Namira at any point can decide to stop reading it herself and pass it on to the audience, and you can raise your hand if you want to read. And you can read for as long as you want to. And yeah, it's as simple as that. And then at the end we'll stop and we'll discuss. And since we have the author of Radha Will Not Cook today with us, I would love to also spend some time talking about it with her and have her tell us about the process and what inspired it. And if we can, so given that I have to warn you all that we might not get to Ambai's text today. So just apologies for that if we don't have the time. Okay, so I'll introduce Shoma, who is my partner in the Goethe. Hi, Shoma. So she will be helping with the moderation, and Namira Hossain, who is the elder sister. So Namira is an entrepreneur. She's a business lady, and she's been working in food for a long time, which is why I invited her to write about this topic, because she works with a lot of women who run businesses out of their own personal kitchens. So she has had many years of encounters with women who find their place of power in the kitchen, actually. So I was interested to see how she would explore these texts from that with that background. Namira is also a tarot reader. So she's got, and she's also a writer. So she's a published writer as well. So without further ado, I will pass it to you, Namira, and you can take us on this ride.
Thanks so much. Really excited to reading this. I was actually like, I didn't read it because I wanted to read it along with you guys. So very excited. All right. Radha will not cook today. Morning hovers on the edge of night. A cool breeze swirls gently in the dawning. Reclining in bed, Radha breathes in the fragrance of the white and orange shefali blossoms. Last night was unusually calm, free from the frequent quarrels with husband, mother-in-law, sister-in-law. Her body temperature is quite normal. She has no fever. There is nothing physically wrong with her. She is not even tired. It is not raining outside. The sky is clear, a beautiful blue. It is neither too cold nor too warm. Radha's only child, Sadhan, is perfectly healthy. Husband and son are sleeping soundly beside her. Nevertheless, Radha suddenly decides that she will not cook today. Radha will not cook today.
Story শোনাচ্ছে Radha will not cook.
Radha calls the sun and says, "Do not rise yet. Today I will stay in bed for a long time." She has no chance to talk to the night. Night had slipped away before Radha made up her mind. Radha calls the birds and says, "Continue to sing your early morning songs. Today, I want to stay in bed and listen to you sing." She calls the clouds and says, "Help the sun. Hide him in the achol of your sari." She calls the shefali and says, "Do not shed your blossoms anymore. Imagine that day has not broken." To the dew, she says, "Keep on falling in little drops onto the grass below." The sun listens to Radha. For a long time, he does not appear in the sky. The clouds stretch and cover the blue sky. The birds continue to sing ceaselessly. The shefali blossoms cling more strongly to their stems and continue to adorn the branches. The dewdrops keep on falling and embrace with their loving wetness the grass below. Radha yawns and stretches on her bed. Meanwhile, there is a commotion in the whole house. Everyone has woken up late today. Forgetting his maths tables and his spelling, Sadhan gazes outside. It is time for Radha's husband, Ayan, to go to market. It is time for Radha's sister-in-law to go to school. Radha's mother-in-law has completed her morning devotions and is awaiting her first meal of the day. But Radha is still in bed. Radha will not cook today. She will not cook. No, she will not cook. Radha will not cook today. What's happened? What's wrong? Will everyone starve today? I can't understand what the matter is. Mother-in-law, sister-in-law, husband, they're all amazed. Radha is unconcerned. She slowly leaves her bed. She picks up the water pitcher from its corner and moves leisurely towards the pond. Will my son go to work hungry today? Radha does not reply. Her mother-in-law is angry. I'm asking you, where did you learn to be so high and mighty? What is the matter? Radha does not reply. Her husband is perplexed. Sister-in-law, it is time for me to go to school. Radha does not reply. Her sister-in-law is sad and surprised. Radha sits down quietly by the pond and dips her feet in the water. Behind her, there is commotion. With her loud wails, mother-in-law has gathered people around her. Radha is unconcerned. She sits, gazing at the water. The small fishes, puti, bojuri, kholsa, kajuli, they come in shoals and gather at Radha's feet. Go away. Leave me now. I haven't brought any food for you today. But the fishes continue to turn joyous somersaults. Radha's presence is enough. They want nothing else. Radha looks up at the sky. The sun laughs down at her. Are you angry? The sun says. Why couldn't you wait a little longer? Radha asks, hurt and angry. If you look at the fields, you will realize what would happen if I delayed any longer. From where she sits by the pond, Radha glances at the wilted fields. Radha is worried. Will they survive? Just smile, and all of them will come back to life. Radha stands up. Twirling around, she laughs and laughs. She stretches out her arms. Radha laughs and laughs and laughs. The grain stalks seem suddenly to rouse up from sleep. They give themselves a little shake and stand up tall. Suddenly, Radha finds her husband shaking her by the shoulders. Her mother-in-law is glowering in rage and cursing her bitterly. Her sister-in-law stands weeping in dismay. But Radha is still laughing, laughing, laughing. Radha is still laughing. The wind rustles through the leaves in tune with Radha. The water of the pond ripples delightedly in laughter. The birds chirp melodiously in unison. The fishes dance and float and dive. The flowers softly nod their heads in harmony with the leaves. Radha laughs and laughs and laughs. Her angry husband shatters the empty rice pot and leaves for the market hungry. Her mother-in-law continues to wail and curse at the top of her voice. Her sister-in-law steals in gentle steps to a neighbor's house. Her son Sadhan comes slowly to the pond and stands beside Radha. But Radha will not cook. She will not cook. No, she will not cook. Radha will not cook today. Radha turns her head slightly. For a moment, she wavers. Then she steels herself. Radha sits down on the ground. Then she gets up immediately. She is aware that she is not ill. She realizes for a moment that most normal things in life can make one ill. So she is not afraid. Mother, I am hungry. The cry is repeated as if from far away. Mother, I am very hungry. There is a turmoil in Radha's heart. The smooth sea is suddenly racked by a storm. Holding her son close to her, Radha continues to gaze at the water. Then she looks up at the sky, at the sun. She looks at the trees, at the birds, at the flowers, at the leaves. Radha looks longingly at everything around. A small crow comes from nowhere and plucking a ripe papaya, casts it into Radha's lap. Picking it up with both hands, Radha peels it and feeds her son. Sadhan's hunger is not assuaged. Radha calls the kingfisher and says, "Bring me the lotus pod from that lotus cluster in the middle of the pond." The pod is huge. It is sufficient to satisfy any hunger. But Radha's son eats only a little of it. "Mother, I am very hungry. Aren't you going to cook?" Sadhan is just 4 years old. He feels very hungry. How is a small fruit going to satisfy that hunger? "Mother, aren't you going to cook?" Her heart wants to burst. She almost succumbs. Still, somehow, Radha manages to say, "No, Radha will not cook. She will not cook. No, she will not cook. Radha will not cook today." Clasping Sadhan to her breast, Radha walks to the orchard. Sitting cross-legged on the grass, she lays Sadhan in her lap. Then she looks carefully around her. There is no one anywhere near. The leaves of the star apple and jackfruit trees move gently in the breeze and create a soft canopy for Radha. Radha gently uncovers her breasts. Her firm, well-rounded breasts gleam in the light of the sun under the open sky. Radha lifts her right. Okay, now you gotta go, I think. With her right breast hand, she caresses Sadhan's head, his hair, his forehead, his eyes. For a few moments, Sadhan is bewildered at this unusual occurrence. Then slowly, very slowly, he sucks at the budding nipple of his mother's breast. At first, he sucks gently, then he starts sucking harder till he finally tries to suck with all his strength this nectar from his mother's body. Radha is pensive. Radha is eager, but nothing happens. What is she to do now? Straightening her backbone, stretching both her legs in front of her, Radha seats herself more comfortably. She glances once all around her. She clenches her teeth. She bites her lips. She is asking for something, praying for something. And just then, it happens. Cascading like a waterfall, overflowing both sides like a swollen river that floods its banks, causing her whole body to tremble violently. Something bursts forth from Radha's breasts. Radha looks at her son's face. Sadhan bubbles with laughter. From the sides of his active mouth, the white milk foams in little drops to the ground. Radha laughs. Sadhan laughs. The cloud comes and covers the face of the sun. The shalik bird rests on one leg. A cool breeze swirls gently. Radha laughs. Sadhan laughs. Radha has decided she will not cook today. She will not cook. No, she will not cook. Radha will not cook today.
Thank you, Namira.
You're welcome. That's a lovely story.
What do you think of it? You're reading it for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. I love how everything is descending into chaos around her, and Radha's just completely unconcerned. And I love how the story is so sensual. You know, there's like so much she's seeing around her, and she's really present, and she's really calm. And there's this like very strong and stubborn determination. And I love how, you know, she's like, her heart is about to break and she really wants to help her child. And then, you know, this miracle happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the determination. I personally really identified with that like switch decision to not do something, because I'm a person who, like, if somebody asks, I do it without even thinking. I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. But non-cooperation is sometimes so powerful and such a transformative action.
Especially like, why is no one else taking any initiative, right? Like, why is it on her to like do this every day? And nobody else is taking any initiative. They're just descending in chaos. Like, they can cook.
Does anybody have anything to add? Purabi, do you want to say something?
Actually, the story itself is quite explicit, although, you know, it has all kinds of metaphor and everything, but it is very straightforward story, so nothing to add. Only thing is, I want to say is that women think that kitchen is her own place. She can do whatever she wants to. She's the master. She is the queen of kitchen. Whatever she wants to make, she makes, and whatever she wants to do, she can do. And there is nobody there to tell her what to do. But by one day refusing to cook, the reaction she observed among her own people, she realized that she is not the master of the kitchen. She is just a slave, you know. She just, in the name of nursing her own family, she is actually doing the chores, what is needed for them to survive. And nobody cares for her. So that is her realization. And one thing I want to ask you guys, because when I wrote this story, that was in 1992, exactly 30 years ago.
Wow.
And the day I wrote it, I did not change a word, not a word. The way it is published, exactly the way I wrote it. I did not cross one word. And I when I finished it, I was very excited, and I called Toslima Nasrin. She was in Dhaka then. And I read it to her because I was very excited. I thought she would like it. And when she read the story, she told me that she was very disappointed in the fact that Radha breastfed her child. She thought it was kind of giving in to the, society, that is common expectation. She gave up and she just fed her boy. But to me, I think it is actually adding her strength, not her weakness. Because not only she refuses to cook, she can make food for her own child from her own body. So this is some kind, it's kind of very big ability, it's very big strength of women, and that nobody else can do it. So it is not the weakness, it's the strength. That's what I think.
Yeah, I was always like reading it. I was struck by this this abundance, like her leaving, deciding not to cook, and then the natural world reacting so joyfully to her, and her having this like magical experience with like the fish, and then the sun, and everything is abundant in this natural world. And it seems to be full of fruit and food in itself. Like cooking becomes almost primitive, like the kitchen becomes a place where like for but a very primitive way of feeding, whereas what she discovers is a much more miraculous, like Namira said, or natural way of feeding the self.
Yeah, it's almost like nurturing, right? Like, and maybe that's like what Purabi Appa said. She became a slave to the kitchen rather than having it be a place that, you know, empowers her, where she's actually like providing for her family in a way, but nobody even appreciates that. No one sees that.
I also found something else that was quite interesting. When we see that her child keeps saying, "I am very hungry," right? He is very, very hungry. But when she gives him the lotus pot, he won't actually have it, even though he's apparently starving. That I found quite interesting, where he expects his mom is the one who has to give him food.
Right.
Not satisfied with the rest of it, regardless of what she's giving him. Even if he's like starving, he's like, no, my mom's the one who has to give me food. And then he is happy only because it's like, regardless of where it came from his mother. That was quite interesting to me. It's weird. I just want to say it's quite interesting speculating about what an author wanted to say in a part of a story when the author is in the discussion.
I must admit one thing. I must tell that this story became so popular, and one of the reason, or the best reason, is Niyazapa. She always promoted. The first time she heard this story, I read it in British Council. They organized a meeting, a literary event, and there are three of us, me, Tostiba Nasrin, and Radia Khan, read our stories. And Niyazapa, for the first time, invited me to read that story. And since that day onward, she promoted this story so much. And now it is, whatever I wrote for last, like all my life, I think this story and another story, Saleha's Desire, those two stood up, you know, like everybody knows about those two stories. And I thank Dr. Jaman for that.
Thank you, Purabi. Thank you so much for allowing me to translate the story. And thank you, Goethe Institute, for choosing this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. It's even more beautiful in Bangla. I was out and I was at a meeting and the meeting got delayed. I just came back home and I couldn't hear anything. I could see your faces. But thank you so much, Purabi. I'm so glad that you joined and you were able to speak. And I'm so glad that you know, a younger generation is reading the story and appreciating the story. Thank you, Purabi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Zaman, for inviting her. This is such a treat. It was a surprise.
Yeah, no, I was, it's very early in the morning there, but I thought that she must know about it, that, you know, Goethe Institute.
It's not very early. It started at 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay, 9 o'clock, okay.
It was a daylight savings time now.
Oh, okay. So that's good. Yes, I'm so glad. But I'm so glad that you could join, because, you know, it's good to hear, you know, I had nothing to do with Goethe Institute, you know, Sister Library choosing this story. They chose it. And just because I'm on the mailing list, I got the invitation and I was so excited that immediately I sent the, the link on to you, and I'm so glad that you could join because, you spoke to our generation, and now you are speaking to a younger generation. And I'm so glad, one of the speakers mentioned that, in a way, even a child is demands of her, right? That he will not eat the lotus fruit. His mother has to give him something. His mother has to give him. So even the little boy sort of controls his mother. So it is a beautiful story, yes. And the way nature comes in to join in, I think it's really so beautiful. Thank you so much, Purabi, for being here and speaking to us all. Thank you.
Namira, so you are part of that new generation that is experiencing this book 20 years after it's written. Do you think it still resonates and still applies to how women are kind of placed in the
I
kitchen
think so.
and
I
kind
don't
of
think it changed much.
Yeah, I don't think it changed much either. Very honestly, yeah, I also don't think it changed all that much. Like you mentioned cook-ups and how cook-ups supported housewives who wanted to cook and sell their food on our platform. So one thing we noticed in common was that yes, they love doing it, but nobody appreciates them in their homes for doing it. So when they were on cook-ups and they were selling through cook-ups, more than just the money, even more than just the money, they loved the appreciation. They loved getting 5 stars. They loved getting comments on their food. So that was a very, very big thing for them, like the appreciation. Of course, earning is another empowering thing that made them feel great about themselves, but it was also very much the appreciation and validation that they got for sharing their creativity with others.
Mm-hmm. So it's very capitalist in that, huh? And until it brings in money, it's not really appreciated.
I mean, taken for granted.
Taken for granted.
Yeah, it is taken for granted, and like even if it's something really yummy, I guess, even hearing Jay, oh, this was so good, we really liked eating it. I guess we forget to say it when it's every day. Yeah.
So, Purabi, this story, it's part of a collection of stories that's titled Radha Will Not Cook Today. What are the other pieces in the book? Could you share a little bit, please?
There are quite a few stories. One story I told you that also made a name for itself. There's Saleha's Desire. I don't know whether you read it or not.
I haven't, no.
That story is about a woman's exertion of her own desire. Whether, like in intimate relationship, usually women's desire is not taken into consideration. Whether she likes it or not like it, to be with a man, it's not a concern for most of the people. It is expected that they are always going to be ready for the man. And this is not the case. And Saleha did exert her not having the desire to be with her lover. She loves him, but not in the conditions he imposes. She has her own, liking and disliking. So that story, the format and the way I put it, many people liked it, and a couple of people did their MPhil thesis on that. So you can read that one, Saleha's Desire. And then once upon a time, daughters used to be born here. That one village, big village, they don't have any more daughters. All the babies born, they are all boys. And then why? Because there was a big torture on the women during the 1971. So they decided not to have any more girls in the place until and unless this is rectified. So that was another story which was kind of fictitious, but it's kind of like feminine. And then there was a story about about a rape case. I symbolized it. There are quite a few. I don't know, about 12 stories, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is available. It is still available. It's not exhausted. If you
Yeah.
want, Dr. Jaman might tell you where to get it.
Well, you can get it at the Sister Library Pink Shelf. We have a copy. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's so one of the things that I was remembering as we were promoting this reading is a Serbian joke that a woman is made to walk a very short walk from the kitchen to the bedroom. And so likewise these two stories of Radha and Saleh, it seems like they explore these two domains that women are always reduced to or locked into.
You'll be happy to hear that two of my stories at this moment are being made into movies, but short films. One is, those are not in this book. None of them are. One is Ghari Phera. It's one of my earliest stories. It's about a girl who had lot of hope, and also her father had lot of hope for her. She came to Dhaka to have higher education and do so much in life, but everything got cut short because her father died and she's going back home without knowing that her father died, but somebody came to bring her home, so she's going back. So Ghare Phera, that story. And another story is about Eker Bhitore Pach. That means that five sisters, actually there are not five sisters. It's like one woman, five different stages of her life. So like one is like beauty, that and one is like young, youth, and one is like merit. Like in their initial phase of life, everybody used to appreciate their beauty and the youth. But when she became old, her merit, everybody started appreciating the way she sings. But nobody cared when she was young. So it was like five sisters is actually, it is kind of symbolic. It's the story of one woman.
That's a nice analogy. And Purabi, can you tell us a little bit about how you started and how you became an author and your journey?
It's a long story. I started writing when I was a child in the school. We used to have like a handwritten wall magazine. So I used to write there. And then I started writing for the children's section in the newspaper a little bit. And the reason I could not stop writing is my father. My father was, he used to be so happy when he saw something published in my name. He used to buy 3 copies of the newspaper and put it in very safe place as if it's the best thing in his life. So by seeing that, I felt like that I should do that. It makes my father so happy. I used to write for him, then for myself. And then I got married at the age of 18 with my husband, who was already a known writer, in short stories in Bangladesh at that time. So that also encouraged me, and he always encouraged me to write. And so we both write in very, very different way. Our style is completely different. Mine is very simple and everybody can read and understand. Nothing, I don't use a word which is not very uncommon. But my husband's writing is very abstract and he has a selective audience. It's very different, his language and everything, but we both write.
Hmm. Do you edit each other's work ever?
Not really. Don't do that. And my husband, I always used to ask him to give me some suggestion for improvement. He said no, that will be between you and your readers. So he never does. He usually doesn't do that. Only thing he does is I used to have a lot of spelling mistake. He used to correct those. So I make less mistakes now, but he still corrects the spelling mistake.
And I think this is a question for both you and Namira, because Namira is also an author. Do you ever write anything that you feel scared to show your partner, like that it's maybe too explicit or too like?
Yeah, it happened a couple of times, but my husband is very broad-minded person, and I found there are a couple of stories, in fact, that reflects sometimes my own life also. He knows that it's not everything fictitious. It's my own life, and nobody knows more than him that it is from my life. But he still never said that don't publish those or give me any advice or change or anything. He didn't mind. He never ever told me not to publish anything
That's
or
wonderful.
never, thought that I am just crossing the, like line too much. He thinks that writers should have the freedom to write whatever they want to, even if they reflect their own life.
That's wonderful. What about you, Namira? Do you ever face that, even if your partner is supportive, like you're scared of your own self? You think that you're right? Or
I think Namira got disconnected.
oh, okay. Yeah, oh, did her power? I think her power went out.
Yeah, it got dark for a while. Yeah.
Hmm. I'm sorry, I've been kind of taking the stage. Does anybody have questions for Purabi?
This is not exactly a question, but I do want to say, like, I really enjoy the blending of certain magical realism aspects into your stories. Like when the sun starts talking, it wasn't like something you would expect that happens. So when did you decide, or was this a part of your writing from the very beginning, or did at some point you decided that I'm like going to include these elements in my story that are not quite, not realistic, but it's some
No,
level of
actually, it was from the
magical.
very beginning. I told you that this story, I did not change a word after I wrote. So everything was thought before I wrote. So this
Okay.
nature, the and the nature going along with her thought, and the unison with the nature, everything I thought before I wrote. And even the language, I don't know whether you have noticed it or not, that I have used Sadhu Bhasha, which is not used anymore, because for a long, long time, from Rabindranath's time, uh, that we use Cholti Bhasha, that language, but
Yep.
this story has Sadhu Bhasha. That also I decided to do before I started writing. And Toslima also criticizes that because she thinks it was not appropriate to use the Sadhu Bhasha.
We didn't get to read the Bangla version today, but I would bet that I think it would be magical. with especially with the use of Sadhu Bhasha for this kind of story. I think that would be really nice.
So, Dr. Zaman, you translated the full series?
No. I translated this story, and another Shafi also helped a little bit. But the other stories, different people translated, different people. Yes.
This story has been translated by many people.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Many languages.
Oh, okay. What other language has it been translated in?
Germany, Italian, Spanish.
Spanish, yes. Yes, it has been translated into Spanish.
And English by quite a few. In like Stream Within, they did it, and also another story, another compilation from India, somebody else.
Okay.
But Niyajapa did the first one.
Yeah, it was very beautiful, and I must tell you why I did it. When Purabi read it, she mentioned that it was at an event. It was actually the English department at Dhaka University. We had a conference, and 2 evenings we had literary events with women writers. And as soon as Purabi read this story, in Bangla, it was so poetic. It was like a prose poem, and I fell in love with it. That same evening. And I think very shortly after, I must have translated it. It was so beautiful. So I thank Purabi for allowing me to translate it. I'd like to read the other English translation, because all translators are different and translations are different. And, the other English translation must have been done later. So, I'm sure it's the English there is maybe more contemporary. I would really like to read it. Well, thank you so much.
Was the imagery of the Radha breastfeeding shocking in any way back then?
No, but I'll tell you one thing, that the different, in the West, nowadays the people are breastfeeding their babies, but they do it, they take off their tops and they do it. In Bangladesh, people used to breastfeed, but they always did it very modestly. So, the mother would, not in the story. So breastfeeding is not shocking at all in Bangladesh. It is, part of the culture. It's only, yes, the bottle came afterwards and people had to again popularize breastfeeding. But breastfeeding is very common in Bangladesh. It's not something shocking at all, It really isn't.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It isn't. No.
And also one thing, some people might wonder that 4-year-old Sadhan, how could he sucks the breast and milk comes out. One thing I hope you people never ignored or missed in the story, that Radha is pregnant again. Did you realize that? Because
No.
when Radha was moving around laughing, she had something like, she felt like vomiting, and she realized that the most natural thing in life could sometimes make you sick. Remember one story?
Yeah.
One line was there. That's a hint that she was
Oh,
pregnant.
wow.
So when one woman
Wow.
is pregnant, at that time any stimulation, like her 4-year son, when he sucks the breast of her, it can ejaculate.
Wow.
Huh. Thank you for revealing that. Huh. Hi, Namira. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, my electricity went away.
Yeah, I figured. Well, if you want to share something about like your journey as a writer and like or reading or what you feel after having spoken about it, please go ahead.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
What I thought about the journey reading the story.
Or your journey as a writer also. I'd love to hear about that.
I don't write as much as I would like to anymore, very sadly. I wrote like 5 stories last year after a long time because my friend Shazia was running a writing workshop. I just feel like writing is one of those things that's like a muscle, and you need to keep at it. You need to like keep like beating your self-limiting thoughts and telling yourself you can't do it because there's so much judgment involved when you write. But yeah, and I actually set the intention last night that this month I'm going to try and write more. But I think you asked that, are there times when I write things that I don't like sharing with my husband? Yeah, there are. There are definitely times. But most of the times I do share them with him, but a lot of the times I write stuff that it's very private. It's just for me. It's really not for anyone else. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get more done this month, and you stay true to your intention. Power to you.
Niyajapa, what story you are talking about me? Which one is that? The second one?
Sorry?
The second story you're referring, which one is that? I just wanted to ask.
Oh, that we were supposed to read today.
No, Niyajapa was talking about the same.
Oh, Dr. Zaman, were you did you mention?
No, I didn't mention anything else. No, I don't think.
Okay, I
No.
misunderstood.
Well, Amina Khatunliza said the story is very interesting. Sadia also said beautiful story, and she's really grateful that Purabi was here. Yeah, Rabita, the serendipitous nature of the sister library is what makes it great. It's always a surprise, and each session is completely different. Crystal, thank you for coming. This is your first time. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I don't want to attempt another story today. So if everyone's okay, we can read Kitchen in the Corner of the House another day.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish I had a copy of Radha Will Not Cook with me here, but I left it in Dhaka. So otherwise, I would suggest we read Salah's Desire, but I'll encourage all of you to find it in the sister library.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, it does take an hour to read a story because like you can rush through 2 stories, but to do justice to a short story, even a short story, one does need an hour. And I think I missed the first part of the discussion because I was out and I was on the way back. Is there any way in which I could get a recording? Would Shuma be able to send me a recording if I ask her? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll send a recording to everyone who on the list.
Okay.
And you missed the part where we were talking about Kona, because I was telling Purabi that her stories, the series that Her Story Foundation publishes, it starts with Kona.
Okay.
And then what I always find in the research that we do with Her Story is the interconnected worlds of women, and like, the sister library started because of Aki, and then it just continues to make webs of connections. So I hope you will come to another reading, and maybe we can read something. If you have a suggestion of something that you think is worth bringing to light, like I will tell you that I came across Radha Will Not Cook Today by accident in Orono, in their book selection, and I was struck by the title. It was just such a beautiful title. And then I was also reading Kitchen in the Corner of the House, and the 2 stories they work very well together because the kitchen in the corner of the house is much more it has much less magic realism in it, but it's also about this confinement of women and this kind of society of women that lives in the kitchen, and how the conditions are not right, and it's done in such a beautiful way also, so that's why I wanted to pair it, but I'm so glad that that in the end we just read one.
Yes, it was a very good discussion.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
So
Okay.
please, if you have a recommendation for something else that we should read,
Okay.
very, very welcome.
Okay. Okay. I'll pass it on.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you,
Good night,
Namira.
Thank
Good
Namira.
night.
you.
Good night.
Great. Good night.
Thank you, Namira, for reading that. That was awesome.
Thank
I
you.
hope
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
your reading was very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very
thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. This was really fun. I hope to read again sometime.
yeah, for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, sometimes I
Bye.
still we
Good
end up
night, everyone.
Bye-bye,
Purabi,
Purabi.
good
Bye,
morning.
everyone.
You
Bye,
and I are in the
Nagapa.
same. Bye,
Good
Shoma.
night.
Ada showed up.
Yeah, Ravita, thank you. I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah, this was
So
a
happy
good
you're
one
back.
to join.
This was a good one to join. I had a feeling. That's why I was telling you that you should come to this one.
Super glad.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
And actually really honored to be with the people who are actually here today. Sometimes I still get like, I can't believe that I'm in like a room, even if it's virtual, with like some legends.
Yeah, it's the sister library, Purabi, another connection from last time, that we had a reading of Palestinian poets, and we were reading a poem by, again, like a very strange coincidence. I had picked the poet. I had asked the sister to read that poet, and then in further research, I discovered that she had visited Bangladesh, and that she had actually in the 70s, and that she had actually written a poem called "The Turtles of Chittagong," I think it's called.
That is something.
Yeah. And then when I sent out the email to our mailing list, somebody wrote back with a photograph of themselves with the poet when she visited Dhaka back in the 70s, and it was just such a wonderful coincidence. And I found the poet on Facebook, and I reached out to her and I said, well, we're reading your work here in Dhaka so many years later. And she wrote back. She couldn't make it because of the timing, but it was a beautiful, beautiful coincidence as well. So your work is revisited and given love and attention again, and we're grateful for it.
I am really thankful. Thank you very much.
ভালো থেকেন পূর্বী, ভালো থেকো।
আপনিও ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন, এটি বড় কথা।
হ্যাঁ, থ্যাংক ইউ, থ্যাংক ইউ।
এত ভালো কাজ করছেন, অনেকদিন বেঁচে থাকেন।
থ্যাংক ইউ। দাদা ভালো আছেন? দাদা
আছে, ভালো আছে। ওর একটা সার্জারি হয়েছে, এখন ভালো আছে।
হ্যাঁ, তো ভালো থেকেন।
ঠিক আছে।
One last question, Purabi, but do you know Faiza Hassanat?
I don't know her personally, but I know of her because we had communicated through email, but I never saw her.
She's somewhere near you. She's in Florida.
She teaches in Georgia, Florida. Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, she's a good translator. She translated that book of Fazil-Nisa.
Yes. Roop Jalal.
Very difficult book to translate. The language is quite different from today's language. Yeah.
She did a wonderful job.
Mhm. And she is now translating to other, given by Bangla Academy.
Uh-huh.
And, and another one, protege of Dr. Jaman, কি নাম?
Shabnam Nadia.
Shabnam Nadia. She is a big person now. She is very busy.
Yes, yes, yes.
I have asked her to translate one of my stories. She said, I cannot take everything in 2 years.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, good translators are in demand.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you are aware that we have started, this will be the 4th year of an event. We call it Bishwa Bangla Sahitya Samabesh. That means all the Bengalis who are residing outside Bengal, East Bengal or West Bengal, outside Bengal, we are trying to put them together in a common platform. So in this forum, people come from all over, especially with Zoom, like Australia, Japan, Kuwait, the Chile, you just name it. Even one came from Alaska, everywhere. So we just meet each other and read each other's writings.
That's really good.
And you only write in Bangla, or have you also
Only in
started?
Bangla, only in Bangla, or translation.
Mm-hmm.
Other language to Bangla or Bangla to other language.
Mm-hmm.
That's a limited section, but mostly Bangla.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, there from 6 continents, 20 countries participated. Mostly, though, from North America,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
America and Canada, United States and Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some people from Bangladesh and India are mad because we are not inviting them. They can
Oh,
see, they can make comments, but they cannot participate.
okay.
Because then the forum will be too big to contain. We
Yes.
cannot
Oh.
handle them. And there are so many things happening in Bangladesh and India. They don't need this little forum for them. So this is for only for the expected.
Okay, I
So you
need to leave now. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Stay
Good
well.
night.
Stay well.
I will look forward to seeing you again, Nizapa.
Yes, inshallah, inshallah. Bhalo theken.
Bala taken.
ঠিক আছে, অনেক সময় নিলাম আপনাদের। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ, খুব ভালো লাগলো।
Thank you very
আমাদেরও
much.
ভীষণ ভালো লাগলো আপনাকে আজকে অনুষ্ঠানে পেয়ে, কারণ একদম সরাসরি আপনার কাছ থেকে কিছু কথা শোনাটা খুবই মানে আমার ভীষণ ভালো লেগেছে। আই হোপ যে অন্যদেরও অনেক অনেক ভালো লেগেছে।
আমি আসলে
থ্যাংক ইউ
গুছিয়ে কথা বলতে পারি না, এটা একটা আমার অভ্যাস। আমি কথা বলাটা নিয়ে আমার খুব সমস্যা। যেখানে আমার কথা বলতে হবে আমি যেতে চাই না। আমার কথা বলতে খুব অসুবিধা হয়। আমার লিখে বোঝাতে আমার অনেক সুবিধা। কিন্তু
বাট আপনি তো খুব সুন্দর করে কথা বলছেন এবং আমাদের শুনতেও ভীষণ ভালো লাগছে।
আমার
থ্যাংক ইউ
স্বামী আমার
পুরবি
ঠিক
আপু।
উল্টো, সে খুব গুছিয়ে কথা বলতে পারে। তাৎক্ষণিকভাবে খুব অনেকে আছে না যে বলতে পারে খুব ভালো, আমি পারি না, আমার সেই ক্ষমতাটা নেই। তো যাই হোক, খনার সম্পর্কে একদিন কিছু যদি করেন আমাকে জানাবেন, আমি আসবো। আমার লট অফ আর কি ইন্টারেস্ট আছে খনার প্রতি।
If I may, could I invite you to be an elder sister and to read the Bachon?
Yeah, that can be done. I can do that.
because
would be
I
really
told you
nice.
that I have never seen any book that contain that many bachans that I have in my book. I'm not, just bragging it. It's not my doing. I just work hard and collect it from other books. So
Yeah.
just collection. And
Well,
I just made a hypothesis what could have happened, whether Khona was really a human being or a fictitious character. That is my story. But Khonar Bachon I collected from other books.
Yeah, I
what,
think that would be a very nice topic, Katrina, to read once in Sister Library. Many people would be really, will love it. Because I can remember in my study time when I was reading Connor Bachchan in my honors. So because I'm a Bangla literature student, so that time I really was fascinated with those Bachchan and meaning and all his explanation. It was really amazing.
Purabia, but if I'll try to set a date with you, but maybe sometime in July. And it's similar to well, it's not similar to this reading. Basically, you would choose parts of your book and what you want to share, and then we would host a session similar to this.
Okay, that will be fine. Actually, every sphere of our life, there are multiple stories, parallel stories. You don't know which one is true, which one is fictitious, or both are.
Yeah.
Like her birth, her marriage, everything is. And people say that is based on history. But if you look at the timeline, you'll find that does not match. Like Boraho, who was her father-in-law, in the book, the years mentioned does not go along with the years in the Indian history. But there was a person named Boraho, big politician, but it is centuries apart.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of, inconsistencies
Yeah.
that we can talk about. Okay, then. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Let's
Could
go
I
now.
have your email? Could
Yeah,
you just
Purabi Basu
mm-hmm.
at gmail.com.
Okay, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Then I will email you and we can set a
Yeah,
date.
you have the spelling Purabi
Mm-hmm.
Basu.
Yes,
Okay.
I have the spelling. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.